Hello, it is Bethany, and today I'm going to be talking about all the different work plans I have made throughout the years. But first, I'm going to show you a resource hub you can access with different free resources that I have made for my Montessori classroom that hopefully you will want to use in yours. Okay, so I have created a resource hub for Montessori, whether you're a teacher or you're teaching it to your kids at home. And I am a lower elementary teacher, so most of this is for lower elementary, but it can also be used for different for the 3 to 6 as well. So the first thing I'll show you is the equation cards. So I've made equation cards and you can access them here. It's all multiplication, division, subtraction, addition, and it is a 51-page document, so you could print which ones you need, but I just keep them on my shelf like this, and the kids use them for once every day. So let's see, that's the only math one I have so far. But then for language one, I have the daily editing sentences. So the kids complete 2 sentences each day, and I have it for grade 1 and 2 right now. But what the nice thing is that they're editable. So you just have to click here and customizable in Canva, because as we were going through this year, I've made them for what it is. Mostly for the first year, it's like capitalizing the first letter and putting a period at the end. But also there is a lot of things, like we did apostrophes, and maybe your first grade class or first graders or first grade student or child is not ready for apostrophes yet, and that's okay. My group of students were, so we were learning that. And especially for the second grade, we did a lot of like plural nouns, so it's heavy on that. So I made it customizable for you to use, so then you could change the sentences, or you can just go ahead and print them and use them as they are, right? And the nice thing is, if I've made a mistake, it's okay, it's an editing sentence, and the kids will know that they need to edit it, right? So those are the language ones I have right now. I do have symbolizing cards, but that's not part of the free thing. But if you would like symbolizing cards, just let me know. And the cultural resources, I think we all have, well, in the classroom I'm in, we have these cards where it's like history through the ages and the needs of people. So the kids write, we did transportation. So they write transportation at the top, and then they draw the transportation, because a lot of cultural is a lot of writing some of the times. And so I just let them verbally explain to me, so I could tell that they knew the different how like the transportation progressed. But you could have like older students write it out, or if they want to write it, that's great too. But then I also put the calendar pages. I have 5 different calendar pages. This is just a PDF, so you just click it and print them. Yes, and there's 5 different ones, so they have different questions, so it can change up a little, the month, the days, and then whichever day it starts on, right? And then we have our extra resources, which is what this video is actually about. I'm going to be talking a lot about the work plans that I've used. So I love making different work plans. That's one of the coolest parts, I think. And you'll see I kind of changed them up maybe in the middle of the year when I, just to see. But at the end, the best work plan I have ever made, and that's the one I'm using now with my class, and it's just amazing. So this is the very first one, and when I first started in the elementary training, I actually co-taught with my dad at a different school than I work at now. And he had this work plan where we wrote out each, like, what the kids would learn. And this was learn each day with the presentations or what they had to work on. And this was basically first, second, third. But as I was going to the training, I was like, I really want to customize it more. So I made a lot of different ones, but this is the one we decided using, which worked nicely because they got to pick the different ones and where to go. But it just looks, I don't know, it was a little too grown up for the like first, second, and third grade, but yeah, it could go either way. They used it and it wasn't too confusing for them, so it was kind of nice. But it was, it looks nice, but I was just like, I know I can make a better one. So then the next year, I was teaching by myself, but I had in-person students and online students. And so I made this one, and I actually like this work plan. There's nothing wrong with it. I did like this work plan. And this is the third grade example, but so each day they had daily works to complete, but obviously for first and second grade there was less work or different work. And then they would write, so the math cards are the math cards I showed you on the other page, and the editing sentences are the editing sentences. And then the math facts is either a page or whatever, and then they did spelling or different things. But so this would either have like a math or language presentation, and then almost every day we had a cultural presentation. What I think I would have done a little bit differently with this one is maybe add like math, language, cultural, but it just didn't fit, And this was good for what it was. And the kids, followed it and knew what they had to do. Unlike with this one, kind of confusing what you had to do, right? And obviously this one worked. And then I left the school after that year and I went to a different school, actually the one I'm currently teaching at. And I also went there as a kid. So that's very exciting. A school that needed an early childhood / kindergarten teacher. And that is not what I'm trained in, but I then got to do what I'm doing now, which is the lower elementary. But last year I was doing that early childhood and kindergarten, but I wanted the kindergartners to have a little bit of a work plan because I knew next year that they would definitely have a work plan. So they never filled out these lines I thought maybe they would write like, oh, I chose this work, I would write it out. It never really worked like that. What happened was they did words, which were the like pink, blue, and green series, 12 words. And then math was 9 math facts they wrote down. And then reading, they just read me a book. And then they got used to checking it off. So then this current year for school, I made this one over last summer. And I was like, oh, and I was very excited about this work plan. And I changed it up as the year. We added different daily work and these reading groups and symbolizing in the project. They did a project, and this was their silent reading work or book they were working on line. But what was interesting with this one is that it worked very well. They would write down, or I would write down either one, the presentation they would have, and then they would check it off when they were done, and they knew they needed to finish all these works in a math, a language, and a cultural. And a math, language, and a cultural. And for a lot of people that worked well, a lot of the students that worked well, but if they didn't finish and they had a work remaining on here, they wouldn't like to go back to the old ones, but they would have to to complete the work because they would get a new work plan each week. So then I made the best work plan I've ever made, and we've been using it for about a month now. And it's so nice. Here it is. So each day they have the daily work that they know to check off when they're finished, and then they have a spot for math, a language, and a cultural. And so when they get a presentation, I actually just put 3 loose leaf pieces of paper. So there's one that says math, one that says language, and one that says cultural. And so they look at that, and after they get a presentation, I'll write it down, or they'll write it down, and then they'll fill in once they complete the work. I did like stamp game division, and then they'll write it under math. Or I did synonyms, write it down for language, and then parts of the leaf. So then once they get all these checked off and a math, language, and cultural, they finish the work for the day, right? So it's very easy for them to see with this, and they'll say, oof, you know what, I didn't do a math Tuesday, what was I do? So it helps them reflect a little bit too about their work. And this is the best work plan. You can see I've kind of made a lot of work plans. And especially in this phase, I made a lot of different work plans, but I didn't want to put every single one. And even when I was creating this one and this one, I made a lot of different versions. But the two you have, you can use are this one, and it's actually an editable Canva template. And so you just click the button. I show you in the help document how to be able to do that. So then you can change it, because maybe not everybody does typing. Like we just started this typing program, and so we do typing. Maybe you don't do RAS, different things. Maybe you don't do journal every day, but it's very customizable to what you want students to do. And it's very customizable for each individual student. Many days all these are different for each student. And it also allows, I have a large group of students this year that love to pick work, which is great. And it's like, well, today I really want to do the 6 long chain. I'm like, okay, go practice, because it's good for multiplication and a lot of different things. Those are the different work plans that I have made and that you can use. So I will leave, and I'm going to add more resources as I make them. I think I have another language thing I'm going to add for the word cards. And so if you have any questions, go ahead and let me know, but I'll link this down below so you can sign up if you would like the free resources. And then it does talk about how I have my lower elementary scope and sequence and 100 symbolizing cards. Those are just paid ones, but these are all my free resources. But you can always visit partsofthelanguage.com to see more different ones. Thank you for watching.